Greetings out there in YouTube land. This is Morris, man. As always, I thank you guys for coming to my channel. At this point in time, well, I guess I'm going to tell you this a true story. I was working last night in the studio with my band as far as my upcoming CD, and I was talking with the drummer, and he mentioned a story that I shared with him years ago. He said, man, you ought to post that on your YouTube channel because I think your viewers will find it interesting. And I thought about it last night. I said, you know what? I think they would too. Because I think at some point in everybody's life, there's something you just can't explain it. You just can't explain it. And here's the story. This had to have been back in the 90s, early 90s. Man, it had to have been late 80s, early 90s, probably early 90s. And I was at the height of, I guess it was actually not the height, but just getting started with my production work. Because people at that point in the city realized that I was a good producer and not just a guitar player. And at that time, they thought I was just a keyboard player because a lot of people didn't even know I played guitar because that was during the time when synthesizers was kicking in. I put my guitar up under the bed because I'm like, ain't nobody hiring us bass players and guitar players. They want that synth thing, synth bass line and synth piano parts. So I played a good enough during that time to do that and play in these bands. So I came across this guy. He was a promoter, really nice guy, and sent a lot of business my way. I met him at a gig, and then he said, hey, I got a lot of acts, man, that I want you to produce. So he sent me a lot of guys. And it's a small word because he was related to Kevin. I forgot his last name, in the original bass player for Al Hudson in One Way. That was his nephew, I believe. So he brought one group by, and I wrote a couple of tunes and did a couple of demos on them, and then they disbanded. It was 3 of them. It's kind of like After 7, that was kind of their vibe. So one of the guys contacted me about maybe 6 months later, said I'm working on a solo project because he said I called and I'm going to do the gospel. I'm not doing that booty shaking R&B type of thing no more. I said, well, I can respect that, but I really don't do gospel. That's just not my thing. I got nothing against it. It's just not my training. I didn't grow up in church, I attended throughout the years, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I went to church every day because I didn't, every Sunday I didn't, we were too busy trying to survive and eat, it's like, God understand that. But anyway, so I reluctantly did it, and I did it because I try to help out everybody, especially people I've already worked with. I said, I do my best, man, but I'm telling you now, it's just not my thing. So he came back because he wanted me to do actually 2 songs. One of them was called, if I'm not mistaken, it's kind of a traditional gospel song. It's called The Man That Came Down to Earth. And I think sometimes it's referred to as the man from Galileo. So he came back and brought me the sheet music. And at that time, I really couldn't read sheet music. So I called my brother-in-law, made a call, said, hey, I need you to come in and work with me on this session. I give you some of the proceeds. So I went by my brother-in-law's house. I gave him the sheet music, and then about maybe 2 days later, he came into the studio and he played the piano part. So we completed that project, and he was very happy. And I'm going to say this because it's important just as a learning tool. You learn as you keep doing things. And what I learned in that particular session, because of course there was 3 verses to the song, and he came back one day, did 1 verse, then came back the next day or so because his schedule, did the 2nd verse, and then did the 3rd verse. Now I never have my singers do that anymore. I'm like, come in and sing the whole song from start to finish, because this is what happens. You sing something on Monday, you come back on Wednesday and sing another part of that song. It sounds totally different from the audio aspect and from the vocal approach. It's from the mic aspect. It sounds different. And it sounds like 3 different guys singing this song. So we end up having to do it over. And I learned that time because some people can pull that off. There's some guys can come in on Monday, then Thursday, then Saturday, and it sounds right. But that particular session is like, no, it sounds like 3 different dudes. So we had to do it over. But so we did it. He was happy. And throughout the years, I would see him on, I guess they call it in Chicago, Can TV, where the city sponsored channels. And he would do this talk show and talking about religion, talking about scriptures in the Bible. So it was nice to see him throughout the years still, instead of, what happened to those guys? So I'm going to try to make a long story short. So about 4 years after, seeing him on TV and years after doing the video, I was living in Chicago at the time. I was about to pack up and go to New York. So I came home one day because I was technically not really staying there. I leased a place, but I really wasn't staying there. So, I had my answer machine and I hit the play button and I had one message on there and it said, I think you're the person I'm looking for. My name is blah, blah, blah. And my uncle name was Robert, whatever. And, he passed away recently. And I came across, as I was packing up his personal belongings, a cassette of a song that he performed that it says on the album cover or the cassette that you produced it you produced it. So I'm looking for a copy of that because she said it wasn't in the case, in the cassette case. It's just an empty cassette case with the artwork. So she said, if you are the person that did this, and the right person I'm trying to reach, please give me a call back. So I called back and I said, I'm sorry to hear about the death of your uncle. I'd be more than happy to give you a copy of that, So I said, I'll give you a call back in about 2 days because I'm sure he's around here. And, so the conversation ended. So I went looking for it and I couldn't find it. And I'm one of them people where I'm very organized. I got the very first tape that we did when I first started performing in my buddy's basement back in the 70s. I mean, I still got that tape. Matter of fact, I transferred over to DVD so it won't get lost. And I've made copies of it, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, what the hell? So what happens is this. Every song that you hear Final Last on a radio or you go by, there's drafts. That's not the first and only attempt of doing that song. You start off with kind of the draft, the skeleton as far as, okay, the bass line, piano, and then you come back and say, no, I don't like that bass line. Let me try this bass line with the piano. I couldn't find nothing. I couldn't find the finalization, the master. I couldn't find the cassette, the 2-track. I couldn't find the masters to the song because I always keep my masters. I couldn't find the drafts. So I said, you know what? Let me call my brother-in-law because he had a copy of it because he played on it. So I called him. He said, yeah, I'm sure I got it around here. So he looked around 2 days. So he said, I can't find mine. I can't find, because he had more than one copy. He couldn't find them. So then I called the guy that did the design photo or the layout of the cassette, because I gave him copies, and I called him and he said, yeah, I'm sure I got it. He couldn't find his. I'm like, what are the chances of 3 guys who are known for organization, not sloppy, couldn't find nothing, And I'm like, again, for me personally, I had the master. I had the copies that I ran the masters off. Then I had the drafts. I couldn't find none of them. So, we found that to be pretty interesting because to this day, nobody found a copy of it. It's like, what happened? And the only thing I can think of is we were doing gospel. I don't know. I mean, you can draw your own conclusion, but it's just highly unlikely that particular recording, actually it was 2 of them, got away from everybody. Everybody. 3 people in the story and got away from everybody. Because the stuff that we've done together in the past, we can all find copies of the other songs, but it's like this particular song, nobody can find their copy. I couldn't find, again, the master. I couldn't find the 2-track that I dumped from the master onto. I couldn't find the drafts because I know I did some drafts on that song because I'm like, I got to come up with an arrangement that'll work. Because again, my forte is not in gospel. And I did one more gospel tune and then I said, you know what? This apparently ain't what I'm supposed to be doing, so I'm not doing it no more. Because the second one I did, and I found this really interesting. I did it for this woman, and then in the middle of it, she brought her 2 adopted kids over, and I see how bad she was treating these kids. And somebody told me, because you don't know what you don't know. I mean, I never adopted any kids, so I don't know. But here's what somebody told me, and this does not apply to everybody, but this is what somebody told me. They said the majority of those people don't give a shit about those kids. They just get money from the state. I was like, oh my God. I was like, man, because I got a soft spot in my heart for children. And I said to myself, it's bad enough that these children didn't have, weren't fortunate enough to grow with their mother and father, regardless if they were good people or bad people. And now they got to be shuffled through the system, and in the care of people that don't give a shit about them. And when I seen her carrying on like that with her children, I said, you know what? I'm going to stop this production because I wasn't feeling this from the beginning. And I've expressed that, but you kept pressing me because she went through the promoter. The promoter knew her, and he told her about me. So I was trying to be nice, but I said, you know what? I'm going to give you all your money back, and we're done. We're done. Even though we were actually done with the project, but there was some little finalizations that she wanted to do, keep coming back. I'm like, no, here's all your money back, all of your money, and I wish you well. Because that kid thing kind of really set me off. I was like, no, I can't deal with you no more because you're toxic. You're evil. You're not even a pleasant person. 3 years later, I'm sitting on my couch, and I think I had laid down because I was tired. I turned over, I had the TV on, and I hear this song on the TV. I'm like, oh, what? Wait a minute. It was my song. It was a song I did for her. She was still singing that song like 3 years later, But I found that to be interesting in the other story too. I don't do gospel no more. It's like, no, ain't my forte. It's not something that I'm really great at, because I try to do stuff that I think I'm really good at. And I leave the stuff alone that I don't think I'm that good at. But, I had people kind of asking me and begging me. I was like, okay, just to help you guys out, I will do this. But I'm like, from that point on, I left that alone. Like, no more doing that stuff. No. So until next time, take care. I hope that you found this story kind of interesting. But again, to this day, can't find a copy. None of us. I check periodically with, my photo designer, the layout guy, because he's a good friend of mine, and my brother-in-law, of course. And to this day, we still can't find a copy of that. I'm still finding stuff that I hadn't seen in years that I did. Because there's this one session I did, man, is that me playing guitar? Because it was like, I was in a whole other era during that time, because I'm like, I'm doing stuff I would not normally do. And that's, I think, because I had just got a classical guitar and I just went crazy. I was like, okay, I'm going to do all this kind of stuff since I can't do it electric. But that other two songs, can't find them. So until next time, take care. Thanks for watching.